Hello, and welcome to our session on using MyNCBI and MyBibliography. For those of you I don't already know, my name is Tom Zucker-Scharff. I can be reached internally at extension 3512 or by email at thomas.zucker-scharff@einstein.yu.edu. I am, among other things, in charge of publication tracking for the Cancer Center. Today we'll cover various aspects of compliance with NIH policies, specifically the public access policy. We will only briefly look at the various methods of submitting a publication to PubMed Central. The library will be giving a workshop addressing submission methods on April 9th at 4 p.m. Anyone who deals with this should attend that workshop. Since this is the fourth time the Cancer Center is presenting this, we will welcome any suggestions and, of course, any and all questions as they arise. Since April 7th of 2008, the NIH has mandated that any award requests, whether a renewal or competitive award, must list the PubMed Central ID instead of the PubMed ID with each citation. Beginning on July 1st, 2013, the NIH started enforcing this policy. According to the NIH policy, compliance with the NIH public access policy is not a factor in scientific and technical merit evaluation of grant applications. Non-compliance will be addressed administratively and may delay or prevent awarding funds. In an attempt to make compliance easier, the NIH has provided researchers with several tools to monitor the compliance of each of their publications. These are ERA Commons, MyNCBI, MyBibliography, and the NIH Manual Submission System. In this session, we will discuss creating a MyNCBI account, linking said account to ERA Commons account, putting any publications which are not already in your MyBibliography into it, linking publications to a funding source, making publications compliant with the NIH public access policy, and assigning delegates and what they can do. Note that each one of these topics could be a session unto itself, so we will attempt to go over the most salient points. When we are finished, you should be able to accomplish each one of these tasks with only minor assistance or none at all. NIH requirements using MyNCBI and PubMed-CIDs. Since the NIH no longer allows manual entry publications into ERA Commons, they have provided links to the places in which you should be entering your publications, either through a PubMed search, manually entering them, or beginning the submission process in NIH Manual Submission System. MyNCBI has tools to help you track the publications and keep them compliant with NIH policies. Here's a link to the location where you should cite in your literature. This is the statement on when the NIH will open research performance progress reports for all Type 5 non-SNAP progress reports. It says open, usually this means require. And a policy stating that one is unable to manually enter publications into ERA Commons since 2010. This is an explanation of who needs to include the PMCID in any citation in the grant application or progress report. The example is taken from the NIH website. In this case, Author A has no NIH support. Author B used salary support from their mentor's NIH award. Then there is the mentor, who in this case is not an author. Author C used her NIH award to support the research. And then there's anyone else who wishes to cite the paper. Any author, including the mentor, must use the PMCID when citing this paper. Anyone else does not need to include the PMCID. You can see this explanation on the NIH website. where you need to use PMCIDs in competing applications, non-competing continuation progress reports, and final progress reports. Before going any further, it should be noted that much of what we're going to go over can be done by a delegate, but remember that someone who is an ERA Commons delegate is not a MyNCBI delegate. Once you have created a MyNCBI account, you can assign a delegate in MyNCBI separately, although it can be the same person. This delegate must also have their own MyNCBI account. If they don't have one, they will need to create one in order to be a delegate, although they need not have an ERA Commons account. The way in which a delegate accesses and sees various items will be slightly different than the way in which a PI sees the same items. In this presentation, I will mostly be looking at each item from the PI's perspective. I'll be happy to address any delegate questions. Creating a MyNCBI account. If you do not already have a MyNCBI account, you can register for one for free and link it to your ERA Commons account. To do this, start the browser you normally use and go to the PubMed homepage by typing pubmed.gov in the location bar at the top. Then press Enter. You'll be redirected to the PubMed homepage. Click the Sign In to NCBI link in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. On the resulting page, click the Register for an NCBI account that is located under the Sign In button. Enter the information to create a new account. Start fields are required. Then enter the characters you see in the graphic. This is called a CAPTCHA. Enter them right underneath the CAPTCHA, and then click Create Account. If you are successful, you should see a confirmation screen, and then be redirected back to the PubMed home screen, but you will be logged in. You will see the name you used to register in the upper right-hand corner next to a MyNCBI link and a sign-out link. All changes that are made in MyNCBI system will appear instantaneously in your ERA Commons linked to that account. When you are logged into PubMed, the name you used to register for MyNCBI appears in the top right corner. Click on your login name. In the following screen, locate the Linked Account section. If your ERA Commons account is not listed, click the Change button to add it. Once you click on the Change button in the previous screen, you will be presented with this search screen. In the Search for Account Name box, type in NIH, upper or lowercase. Then click the first link. When you are asked to log in, on the Trust page, enter your ERA Commons login name and password. You should then be redirected back to the PubMed page, and under your linked accounts, you should now see NIH and ERA Commons. If you want to be sure the accounts are linked correctly, click on MyNCBI in the upper right corner. Locate the My Bibliography section. Click Manage My Bibliography. If you are a delegate, locate the Collection section and be sure that the person you are a delegate for has an entry there, and click that link. If the accounts are linked, an ERA Commons logo appears at the top of the page. Putting your publications into My Bibliography. First, you should check to see if your publications are in your bibliography. If you are logged in and have clicked MyNCBI, the My Bibliography section will list how many publications are in your bibliography. If no publications appear, use the Search section just above the My Bibliography section to add publications to your bibliography. Note that you will not be able to add a delegate unless you have at least one publication in your MyBibliography. To search for an author, just enter the author's last name. For example, SCHARFF or SCHARFF, open bracket, AU, denoting author, close bracket. You can add a date or date range by using the word AND in all capitals with a space on either side. Follow that by the open parenthesis. Put the beginning date or year, and then in the bracket, DP for date published, then a close bracket. Put a colon for between, and put the ending date or year, an open bracket DP, and then close bracket, then a close parentheses. So open parentheses, 2013, open bracket DP, close bracket, colon, 2014, open bracket, DP, close bracket, close parentheses, denotes publications which have a date published, DP, between January 2013 and December 31st, 2014. Once you click Search, you will be presented with the results page. On the far right side of the word Send To, followed by a down arrow to open a dialog box. Click the arrow next to Send To. Choose My Bibliography, then click Add to My Bibliography. We're now given the choice to put publications into My Bibliography or other citations. Or if you're a delegate, you'll be able to choose the PI's library in the drop-down box. Other citations is generally used for citations that are not yours, but you wish to keep track of. Note that Other Citations is under Collections. PubMed collections are not updated, so any citations put into Other Citations, or a collection other than My Bibliography, or in a delegate's case, their PI's bibliography, will be exactly the same as when you first saved them to one of your collections. Entering publications. Put all your citations into My Bibliography or your PI's bibliography. The resulting screen will tell you that your items have been added to My Bibliography. You can click Edit Your Bibliography to go to your bibliography. Linking publications to funding. In order to see the Edit Status link or Add or Delete Award link, or see the public access compliance status of publication, you will need to be in Awards View. First, your account must be properly linked to your ERA Commons account. This can be seen if you see an ERA logo in your My Bibliography page. The display settings will usually be set to List View, Sort by Date, and Group by Citation Type. Click the down arrow next to Display Settings. Click Award under View, and click Apply. When you're done, the resulting words next to Display Settings should reflect the changes you made. If under Funding, it says no funding has been associated with this citation, you can associate the grant that funded or partially funded the work that has resulted in the citation by clicking Add Award. Or if there's already an award associated with that publication, it will say Add or Delete Award. The Assign Awards dialog box will appear. Grants associated with your ERA Commons account will appear under My Awards. Other grants associated with publications in your library will appear under Other Awards. Click Search once you have entered your search terms. In the resulting search, click the arrow next to the item you searched to select a specific grant Put a check mark in any boxes next to the grant you wish to associate with the citation, and then click Save. For example, in order to link publications to the Cancer Center Core Grant, which is P30CA013330, which you should do if you use any shared facility supported by the Cancer Center, or if the publication results from Cancer Center pilot project funding. Click the Search Add Other Awards tab. In the first name field, enter I.David. In the last name field, enter Goldman. Then click the search button. Your results should look like the one on the screen. Click the first down arrow, and then put a check in the first box. Then click Save. You have associated the Cancer Center Support Grant with the specified publication. If in your MyBibliography no publications have been selected, then the buttons at the top will be grayed out and unavailable. If, on the other hand, you select some publications, you will not only see the number that you selected, but the buttons will now be available, and you can assign one or multiple awards to multiple publications at the same time. You'll see the same dialog boxes and use the Assign Awards box. Choose the awards from the list, the Other Awards list, or do a search to find the correct award. When you're done, have selected the correct award or awards by putting a check mark in the appropriate box. Click Save to assign them to the selected publications. It should be noted that if you try to associate a grant to multiple publications and one of the publications already has the same grant associated with it, you will not be able to make the association. In my conversations with the NIH Help Desk, I brought up a rather frustrating problem. How can you easily find things on this page, especially in an unsorted filters box? The answer is rather easy. To just do a find in the filters box, make sure you click in the white area of the filters box, not checking any grant. Press Ctrl and F button on a Windows machine or Command and F on a Mac. The search box appears in the top left corner of Internet Explorer, in the bottom left corner of Firefox, in the top right corner of Chrome, and in the top right corner of Safari. Type in the grant number, or whatever you are searching for, and it will find each instance of what you typed. You can do the same for the whole page if you're looking for instances of certain grants or PMIDs. Making publications compliant with the NIH Public Access Policy. This is essential since funding can and has been withheld if publications are not compliant. Publications must be associated with said funding source or any grant on which you wish to list them. If you have not already done so, reread the blast email Ed Berman sent out regarding the need to address compliance as soon as possible. Publications must be compliant if they meet the following. They are a result of NIH funding, and they're peer-reviewed, and they're published after April 7th of 2008, and they're written in a Latin-based script. Personally, I needed a graphic to see this. So, the same thing in a graphic shows the NIH funding, peer-reviewed publications, publications published after 4/7/2008, and publications written in a Latin-based script. Where they intersect is where you need to be compliant. Actually making a non-compliant publication compliant is a whole session unto itself. For now, we will cover how to change the state of compliance for a publication that has already been submitted or is not supported by NIH funds. Using the Edit Status link, click Edit Status, answer yes or no to whether the specified publication is supported by NIH funds, in whole or in part. If you click no, you can click Save and Close, and the publication will be marked as not applicable. If you click yes, you'll be presented with this dialog box. You can either choose to begin a submission at NIH-MS. You can choose that the citation has been submitted and enter the NIH-MS number. You can choose that arrangements have been made with the journal to take care of this. This is method B and usually costs money. Or that the citation does not have to be compliant, and if you choose this one, you must give a reason. The publication wasn't peer-reviewed. The publication was accepted for publication before April 7th of 2008. It's written in a script other than Latin, such as Russian or Japanese. The publication was not directly supported by NIH funds after fiscal year 2008. When you're done, click Save and Close. In my bibliography, each publication listed in the award view will have the compliance status associated with it. The various different icons are outlined here. Any publication that has a question mark next to them, meaning there's not enough information to determine compliance, must have the status edited using Edit Status link. Publications out of compliance should be ameliorated as soon as possible. Note that if you receive a PMCID, it might take as long as 7 days to reconcile as in compliance in the My Bibliography view. So the designations are compliant, and you get the green check mark. In process, which can be either of two things. PMC journal in process, that's method A, or in process at NIH-MS, which means the author probably submitted. Non-compliant. Not enough information to determine compliance. Question mark. Or not applicable. Note that compliance has nothing to do with funding. You must also associate funding. This chart shows the basic methods of submitting a publication to PubMed Central. This will be covered more comprehensively in the April 9th workshop hosted by the library. This particular chart is separated into sections and is from the NIH. First section determines what version of the paper should be submitted. In method A and B, the journal is doing it, so they're submitting the final published article. In method C and D, the peer-reviewed manuscript must be submitted. Who is responsible for the task of depositing the paper? Method A and B, the journal takes care of it. And in method C, the author goes through the NIH manual submission method. In method D, the publisher does the same. Who is responsible for approving the paper for processing? This is not the final approval. Method A and B, there is no processing because it's already in PDF format. In C and D, the author has to see what it looks like. Who is responsible for approving the paper for the final PubMed Central display? This is when it's been processed into PDF format by PubMed. So method A and B is not applicable because it's already in PDF format from the publisher. In C and D, the author is responsible for looking at it. And it should be noted that the author must at least open the PDF and close it. Otherwise, the system will not consider it done. There's a list here of Method A journals, of Method B publishers, and of Method D publishers. In any case, you should check your publishing agreement. Here's a link to the NIH Overview of Submission Methods, where you'll find a similar chart, and a link to a video the NIH has made of the task of submitting the paper. Citing the Cancer Center, shared facilities, and helping with the Cancer Center support grant. Our current blurb on our website reads like this. This will be changed due to the NIH policies. Here's a publication that has the core grant under its funding. But how does one cite the shared facilities used? One can cite it in the results, acknowledgments, or methods, usually in results and methods. So be sure to link the Cancer Center support grant to your publication. And in either results or methods section, please thank the respective resources for any help provided. Help us keep up to date. In your MyBibliography, you can check off any publication that is supported by the Cancer Center support grant. Then click Suggest. When you do that, you'll get this dialog box. You can then fill it out and send a suggestion to us, so we will know to put that publication in our bibliography. So this is the email header from OWA when someone sends a suggestion. This is what the email looks like. Clicking on the link in the email brings us to this page, which, if I click the Add button, will add it to my bibliography. And the final screen I see is the bottom one, which shows that it's been added. You might ask, why should one go through the trouble of adding a delegate when one could just give one the login name and password to allow a person who would be a delegate to do the same tasks? The answer is simple. The NIH has a password policy for ERA Commons that reads in part as follows. Users are prohibited from sharing passwords with each other, and each user must have a separate and unique password. Users must not allow others to access resources under their credentials by logging on and then letting others use the computer. I have a link to the full policy in the resources section at the end of this presentation. Note that this policy is valid for all NIH sites that do not have a password policy that supersedes this one. In order to add a delegate who can do most of the tasks to meet compliance regulations, you must log into PubMed. Once logged in, click on the MyNCBI link. You'll be directed to the page which contains the MyBibliography component. Under My Bibliography, click on the Settings link. You will only see this link if you have publications in your bibliography. On the Settings page, there's a section called Delegates. This section will list any delegates you already have in MyNCBI and allow you to create new ones. Click the Add a Delegate link to add a new delegate. Remember, your delegate must have a MyNCBI account in order for them to accept and use delegation. or they will be asked to create one. Enter the email of the person you wish to add as a delegate, then click the Add Delegate button. Click Save to save your changes. An email will be sent to the email you entered in the previous page. In order to accept or decline the delegation request, the person must click the link in the email received from MyNCBI. If they do not have a MyNCBI account, they will be asked to create one at this point. The link will take them to a page where they can confirm or decline the invitation. Either action will generate information you will see in your account. Notice that by accepting a delegation request, the delegator will now see change from awaiting confirmation to a listing of the person's account. When a delegate views their MyNCBI, it will look slightly different. Instead of clicking on Manage My Bibliography to get to the proper listing, she or he will need to look under the Collections view. In the Collections view, one can see one's own bibliography, My Bibliography, and the bibliography of whoever you are a delegate for. In this case, Neva Morales Grajales. Be sure you go into the correct bibliography. If you have been assigned as delegate for more than one PI, each PI's My Bibliography will appear as a separate collection in your Collections view. Note that Neva, or the person for which you are a delegate, must have his or her ERA Commons account linked to his or her MyNCBI account, or their delegate will not see the ERA Commons logo and will not have access to the awards view. Also note the delegate does not need to have an ERA Commons account as long as the person they are delegate for has correctly linked their ERA Commons account and their MyNCBI account. The delegate will see the ERA logo when they click on the correct link in the Collections view. If you do not see the ERA Commons logo, make sure that the delegator has linked their accounts correctly. Make sure you click on the correct link in the Collections view. You'll know that the view you are in is correct by the title on top of the page. If it says My Bibliography, then you are in your bibliography. If it says T. Zucker's bibliography, then you have clicked on T. Zucker's bibliography in the Collections view. In summary, create appropriate accounts. Make sure all your publications are in your bibliography. Link your publications to funding sources. Make sure all your NIH-funded peer-reviewed publications published after April 7th of 2008 in a Latin-based script are compliant with NIH public access policy. Here are some resources you can use. Note that the Duke Compliance YouTube is a very good one, but it is over 15 minutes long.